Officer Hank Ryler believed Oakhaven belonged to him. He intimidated the weak, mocked the elderly, and took whatever he wanted without fear. But one careless, cruel decision changed everything. In a moment of arrogance, he poured scorching hot coffee on a sleeping German shepherd, just to provoke a reaction from a stranger. What Ryler didn't know was that the quiet man watching him was a Navy SEAL, and that single act would set off the collapse of an entire corrupt system, without a single bullet being fired. The morning air in Savannah clung heavily to the streets, thick with humidity that wrapped around the old cobblestones and moss-covered oak trees like a damp blanket. Inside the Oakhaven diner, however, the atmosphere was calmer. The air conditioner rattled softly, mixing with the comforting sounds of bacon sizzling on the grill. Jasper Miller sat alone in a back corner booth, positioned where he could see every entrance without turning his head. His posture was relaxed but alert. Years of training had shaped him into a man who never stopped observing. A faint scar traced his jawline, evidence of a past far more violent than the peaceful diner suggested. At his feet lay Ranger, a large German shepherd with a glossy black and tan coat. The dog rested silently, chin near Jasper's boot, calm and disciplined. Ranger wasn't just a pet, he was a partner. The familiar scent of coffee, toast, and floor cleaner filled the diner, stirring memories Jasper hadn't revisited in years. The bell above the door remained quiet as regular customers murmured over breakfast. Mabel, the elderly waitress who had worked there for decades, approached with a warm smile. She poured water into Ranger's collapsible bowl and winked. "Gonna be a hot one today," she said kindly. Jasper thanked her with a rare smile and returned to his coffee. For a brief moment, everything felt balanced. Then the front door burst open. 3 police officers entered, dragging in heat and arrogance with them. Leading the group was Officer Hank Ryler. Loud, overweight, and cruel, Ryler scanned the diner not for crime but for control. His eyes locked onto Jasper's booth. Then he noticed Ranger. A smirk curled across Ryler's face. As he passed the table, Ryler pretended to stumble. The loose lid of his coffee cup tilted, and scalding liquid splashed dangerously close to Ranger's paws. The dog recoiled slightly but made no sound, his training overriding instinct. The diner went silent. "Oops," Ryler sneered. "Didn't see the mutt." Jasper didn't move. His hand rested calmly on Ranger's neck. His voice when he spoke was cold and steady. "He's not in your way." For the first time, Ryler felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. Ryler's smug grin twitched when Jasper didn't rise to the bait. The officer stood there a moment longer, clearly waiting for anger, fear, anything he could twist into an excuse. When none came, he scoffed and barked in order to clean the mess before stomping away. Jasper remained still, murmuring a quiet command to Ranger, steadying the dog with a gentle touch. Using napkins Mabel silently handed him, Jasper wiped the spilled coffee from the floor. He moved with controlled efficiency, the kind learned in environments where mistakes cost lives. Around him, the diner slowly returned to motion, but the tension lingered, heavy and unresolved. Jasper didn't leave. Instead he watched. From behind his mug, he observed Ryler and his deputies eating loudly, laughing without restraint, treating the diner like their personal break room. They didn't pay. They never did. The message was clear. This was a tax enforced by fear. A frail elderly man leaned slightly toward Jasper from the neighboring booth. His name was Arthur, a World War II veteran whose body shook with age but whose eyes still held sharp clarity. In a low whisper, he spoke without turning his head. "You showed restraint, son. Most men wouldn't." Jasper nodded subtly. "Who is he?" Arthur exhaled slowly. "Hank Ryler. The bulldog. His father's the mayor. His uncle's the police chief. Judge's his godfather. This town's been owned for years." The pieces clicked together in Jasper's mind. This wasn't random cruelty, it was systemic rot. As the officers finished eating, Ryler rose without paying and strutted toward the exit. Mabel stood at the counter, carefully adding up a receipt for another customer. When she turned, her elbow clipped a basket of silverware. A single fork fell and clanged against the floor. Ryler stopped. He turned slowly as if someone had insulted him. He stepped into Mabel's space, towering over her. "You're getting careless," he said softly, menace coating every word. "Dropping dirty utensils? That's a health violation." Mabel trembled, apologizing, promising to clean it. Ryler leaned closer, enjoying the fear. "I could shut this place down today. Think you could afford that? Your rent? Your medicine?" Jasper felt heat rise in his chest, but he stayed seated, memorizing everything. Satisfied, Ryler sneered and walked out, leaving silence behind. That was the moment Jasper decided. He didn't announce it. He didn't threaten anyone. He simply walked out, climbed into his unremarkable black truck, and drove to a quiet wooded campground outside town. The switch flipped. For the next 2 days Jasper became a ghost. From hidden positions he observed Oakhaven's rhythms, Ryler's patrol routes, his habits, his confidence. Ranger wore a tactical harness fitted with a discreet camera, capturing everything Jasper needed. On the second night, Ryler pulled over a terrified tourist and demanded an on-the-spot fine. Cash exchanged hands. Later, a known car thief arrived. An envelope passed through the cruiser window. All of it was recorded. Clear. Precise. Damning. Jasper exhaled slowly as he saved the footage. The hunt was over. Sunday morning transformed Oakhaven. The quiet streets filled with families dressed in pressed shirts and pastel dresses, the air buzzing with church chatter and the smell of fresh breakfast. Inside the diner, every seat was taken, syrup and sausage scents mixing with perfume and aftershave. Jasper Miller entered calmly, no longer hiding in corners. He wore a clean button-down shirt, neat and respectful. At his side, Ranger walked with disciplined precision, a service vest clearly marking him as working. Heads turned. Whispers followed. Jasper didn't slow. He walked straight to the large round booth by the window, the best table in the diner. The table everyone knew belonged to Hank Ryler. Conversations faltered as Jasper pulled out the chair and sat down. Ranger settled under the table, facing the door. The silence spread outward like ripples in water. Mabel rushed over, fear etched into her face. She leaned close. Jasper, honey, you can't sit here. This is Hank's table. They'll be here any minute. Jasper smiled calmly. It was empty. And the view's nice. He ordered steak and eggs. Mabel hesitated, then nodded. When she returned, she added warm biscuits on the house. A quiet show of support. Right on time the door opened. Hank Ryler entered with his deputies, laughing loudly, until he saw his seat occupied. His smile vanished. His face flushed red as he stormed across the room, boots pounding the floor. You're in my seat, Ryler growled, tapping his baton against the table. Jasper continued cutting his steak. Slowly, deliberately, he set his knife down and looked up. There's no reservation. Unless you have a warrant for my breakfast, I'll be finishing it. The diner froze. Ryler snapped his chin at his deputies. Officer Sneed moved first, not toward Jasper but toward Ranger. With a vicious kick, he struck the dog beneath the table. Ranger growled, a deep, dangerous sound that shook nearby patrons. Down, Jasper commanded sharply. Ranger obeyed instantly. Arthur, the elderly veteran, stood up shaking with rage. You don't kick a dog, he shouted. Officer Vance shoved Arthur backward without hesitation. The old man crashed into the booth. Mabel screamed. Silverware hit the floor. That was the breaking point. Ryler yanked out his taser and fired. Jasper moved. The probes missed as he surged forward, twisting Ryler's arm, slamming him face first onto the diner floor. In seconds Ryler was pinned helpless. Guns were drawn. Jasper released Ryler immediately, raised his hands and surrendered. He turned his back calmly, knowing every eye was watching. They cuffed him hard and dragged him out. Ranger was taken away, barking in protest. But Jasper wasn't worried. The trap had already closed. Every assault, every threat, every abuse of power, all recorded. The drive to the Oakhaven police station passed in tense silence. Jasper sat calmly in the back seat, wrists locked in cuffs, his posture relaxed as if he were a passenger instead of a prisoner. He memorized every turn, every stop, every second. When they arrived, procedures were ignored. No booking. No paperwork. They dragged him straight down a narrow hallway and into a cold, windowless interrogation room. The metal door slammed shut. Minutes later, Hank Ryler entered. His wrist was wrapped, his confidence cracked, and his rage barely contained. With a deliberate motion, Ryler covered the security camera and shut off the recording system. The room went dark and unofficial. He extended his baton slowly, savoring the moment. You embarrassed me, Ryler hissed. Now you're going to pay. Jasper finally spoke. Calm. Measured. Deadly serious. He told Ryler about Ranger's harness. About the encrypted military-grade camera hidden in plain sight. About the live uplink sending audio and video to secure federal servers. About the bribe. The stolen money. The threats. The assault, everything already captured. Ryler froze. Before he could react, the building shook with the sound of approaching engines. Boots thundered down the hallway. The interrogation room door exploded open as state troopers and military police stormed in, followed by a federal judge whose presence sucked the air from the room. Jasper was uncuffed. Ryler was not. Footage played on a rugged laptop, clear, undeniable proof of corruption, extortion, and abuse of power. Badges were torn away. Rights were read. The town's tyrant collapsed under the weight of his own crimes. The Ryler empire was finished. The next morning, Oakhaven felt different. The fear was gone. Sunlight filled the diner as Jasper returned one final time. Mabel hugged him tightly, tears in her eyes. Arthur stood straighter than he had in years and delivered a perfect salute. The once forbidden table by the window was no longer reserved for bullies. It belonged to the people. Ranger was served first. Real food. Real respect. Jasper didn't stay long. He never did. His road led forward, not back. As he walked to his truck, the entire diner followed. No applause. No speeches. Just silent gratitude. Salutes. Hands over hearts. Jasper returned the salute once, clean and precise, then climbed into his truck and drove away. Oakhaven would remember him. But more importantly, Oakhaven was free.